This is why camping can be horrifying. In 2021, a woman was camping with her husband and family in a small remote lake in New Mexico. There was about 10 people in their group and another group of 6 people on the next campsite. It was nighttime and both groups were doing typical activities, making s'mores, having a few drinks, and telling stories. When suddenly they all heard what sounded like a little girl yelling out for help. Neither group has children with them, but they were all positive they heard a little girl, so they decided to search the area they heard the noise come from together. There was a field behind their campsite, and they all saw a very tall, pure white figure standing maybe 100 feet away from them in the field, making the noises. They made their way closer to investigate, but whatever it was they saw started backing off as they got closer and disappeared into the trees. All night they continued to hear the little girl calling out for help as they tried to sleep.
Noah's Ark has actually been found.
Even though a massive flood had proven to engulf Earth at one time, skeptics believe that Noah's Ark never happened.
Due to the fact that it was impossible for an ark of that size to disappear without a trace. However, in recent times,
archaeologists have found a giant boat shape on Mount Ararat, measuring 515 feet, which translates to 300 cubits long.
you might be thinking that those measurements have no meaning at all.
But it says in the Bible that God told Noah to build an ark that was 300 cubits long. So is this just a big coincidence, or do you think Noah's Ark has actually been found?
Why do people think there's some huge conspiracy behind Brittany Murphy's death? Well, let's look at some of the evidence here. So Brittany Murphy had moved into Britney Spears' former home after Britney Spears moved out in one day, claiming there was a paranormal experience. She moves in, and there are some odd occurrences, but one of the strangest tells is that Brittany Murphy's mother made her write a will even though she was only 30, after she was found collapsed in the home. Eventually, an autopsy was done where they found rat poison in her hair follicles, which was never explained.
Scariest Campfire Stories Part 1. A girl and her boyfriend are driving at night down an isolated country road. Eventually, they lost their way and found themselves driving through a densely wooded area that neither of them recognized. Suddenly, the car started sputtering, and the boyfriend looked at the gauge and realized they had ran out of gas. No matter how many times he turned the key, the engine just wouldn't start. The girlfriend began to panic because it was after midnight, they were stuck in the middle of nowhere, and they had no way to get home. The boyfriend got out of the car and took a look around. They were in a secluded area, and all he could see for miles was trees. There seemed to be no houses nearby, and they were completely alone. The girlfriend was scared and kept asking the boyfriend what they were going to do. He told her that he would have to walk back to the main road to get help. The boyfriend could see the fear in his girlfriend's face, so he told her not to worry and that he'd be back as soon as he could. Before leaving, he told her to stay in the car, roll up all of the windows, and lock the doors. And then he set out on foot. The girl watched as her boyfriend got further and further away before finally disappearing into the darkness. Hours passed and the girl sat shivering in the car, fearful of every shadow she saw and every sound that she heard. She began to feel like her boyfriend was never coming back. Suddenly, she heard a loud tapping noise on the roof of the car. She began to panic but was too terrified to get out and investigate. She kept trying to peek out the windows, but it was too dark to see anything. The tapping noise seemed to go on and on before she then started to hear a scratching noise too. The girl was scared to death, but there was nothing she could do. She was forced to remain huddled in the car all night long listening to these unexplained noises when finally she sees headlights coming through the trees. Then she hears a voice shouting, "This is the police, is there anyone in the car?" The girlfriend sighed with relief and says, "It's just me, my boyfriend left me here and hasn't come back yet." The policeman calmed her down and said, "Listen to me very carefully. Open the door, get out of the car and walk toward me. But whatever you do, don't look behind you." The girl obeyed the policeman's orders and began walking slowly toward him. But she suddenly stopped dead in her tracks. The policeman again shouted, "Don't look behind you." But it was too late. The girl couldn't help herself. She turned around and began screaming in horror. She saw her boyfriend's dead body hanging from a tree branch above their car. His head had been chopped off and blood was dripping down his neck onto the roof of the car, and his fingernails scratched the roof of the car as his body swayed in the breeze.
These are the most haunted places in South Africa. Starting at number 4, the Tokai Manor House. Tokai Manor House was built in 1795. In 1990, the owner of the house, Frederick Eckstein, was challenged to ride the horse in the living room. He accepted the challenge. While doing the challenge, The horse collapsed down the balcony, and both the horse and the young man did not survive this strange event. To this day, people who visited the house report that there are strange noises of laughter echoing in the manor. There have also been unrealistic images of a man riding on a horseback galloping around the residence. Number 3. Magisfontein Haunted Hotel. This is South Africa's most haunted hotel, infested with demons. There are 2 main ghosts that haunt this place. One called Cathy, that usually stays in her bedroom, and one called Lucy. Every single person who has been inside this place heard at least one of them. Well, to me, Cathy and Lucy are afrits, nothing to be messed with. Number 2. The Kimberley Africana Library. This place is so messed up. Librarians say that if you request a book, a ghost would knock it down a shelf onto the floor for you. No thank you, Habibi. You stay where you are. I can get the book myself. And finally, number 1. The Castle of Good Hope. After reading a lot about this place, I don't think there is any good hope. Centuries of violence in the Cape of Good Hope Castle have left the legacy of disturbed spirits. There have been sightings of 2-meter-long jinns in this place, and rumors from several visitors that they have witnessed a large black dog. Also, when the bell tower is empty, the bell rings on its own sometimes. This place is open for guests. However, no one is recommended to visit this place after sunset. You tell me, what country should I do next?
This mother is facing criminal charges by allegedly making a fake account and catfishing her own daughter. Hi, my name is Ethan, and let's get into this mess of a case. As crazy as the story sounds, it is real, however it's alleged just because it's so recent. Kendra Lakari worked as a basketball coach for her daughter's school in 2021, but was apparently not invited back on the team. People speculate that's when she made her account and started cyberbullying her own daughter. Isabella County Prosecutor David Barberi stated that prosecutors collected several hundred text messages exchanged between the two. The daughter received up to 12 texts a day without ease. David also stated, and I quote, "By and large, it was mostly just harassing type text messages, demeaning, demoralizing, and just mean texts. This was so serious that the FBI actually got involved, and that is where they tracked the IP address back to her own mother."
New creepy hotspots to save for your next road trip. This is the Opryland Resort located in Nashville, Tennessee. It's a stunning location built completely indoors with highlights such as wall-to-wall gardens, beautiful restaurants, and of course, tons of shopping along the way. But despite the beauty of the resort, it's known for a sinister reason. The story of a husband throwing his wife from the balcony and then jumping himself while everyone in the central garden watched. Since the incident, guests have claimed to see this woman roam the halls at night. And although there are varying accounts to the story, it definitely adds a touch of horror to an otherwise mesmerizing location in Nashville. So make sure to go ahead and save and follow for more creepy content.
So I'm going to share with you guys some of the darkest theories surrounding The Grinch because this is not a children's movie. And without even knowing the theories, the story itself is terrifying enough. A humanoid creature with a cat-like face goes and burglarizes an entire city without anyone ever waking up, besides one child. A little freaky is all I'm saying. I literally cannot breathe through this. How am I supposed to talk about my theories? Okay. Ooh. Anyways, one of the darkest theories literally states that he's not just trying to take away Christmas from the Who's, but he's actually trying to wipe them all out. You might be like, Liz, that's crazy. How does that even make sense? But literally, this one is the prequel for this one. One of the Grinch's main concerns is the movie, and why he's so annoyed with Christmas is all the quote noise, noise, noise. And he's right, they are making a ton of noise with some really elaborate instruments. So what was the point of even designing these? Was it maybe because years ago they had to generate a lot of noise in order to stop themselves from being boiled alive? And now yearly, as a survival technique, they have to bring these bad boys out. Because both of these places are Whoville. So that means at the very end of the movie, when they're all sitting there singing around the tree holding hands, they're doing that so they can save their lives. And now you might be thinking, okay, well, that's pretty bad, but at least the theories can't get any worse than that, right? Well, you're wrong, and there might just be cannibalism involved in The Grinch. Part 2 to my theories behind this horrifying movie, The Grinch Who Stole Christmas. So for those of you who thought they didn't hear me correctly in the last one, yes, the next theory is cannibalism. At the end of the movie, whenever the Grinch heart grows 3 sizes, it's said that he joins in on the Christmas festivities, even cutting the roast beast. What the hell is a roast beast? And why does the roast beast look so freaking similar to the Who's? In addition to this, the Grinch ends up taking Who hash. Who names food after themselves? Like, I have never went to the store and gotten my human coffee with my human creamer with human eggs on the side. I'm just saying it's pretty suspicious. And the next theory is actually really sad. It's about the dog Max, because the Grinch lives in Mount Crumpet where all of the Who's trash go to, so how did he end up acquiring Max? People have theorized that Max is maybe just a dog that one of the Who's dumped, and that's how he ended up with the Grinch, which is just so heartbreaking and completely changes the movie. Another theory is maybe the Grinch is just possessed entirely, because the Grinch still kind of resembles a Who with his nose, but instead he has these red glowing eyes and green skin. Not only that, but he's able to turn his head in 360 degrees, kind of like the girl from The Exorcism. He also puts himself into a lot of situations that harms himself, including eating glass, but he never comes out injured from these things. And it's only the innocence of Cindy Lou Who that brings him back to reality. There's so many more scary theories from your favorite childhood Christmas movies. If you'd like to know more about the Grinch, terrifying theories behind the Polar Express, and also why Frosty the Snowman is so absolutely terrifying, go to my YouTube. And Merry Grinchmas. What if I told you guys that there's a haunted hotel that's filled with so many cursed objects that most people can't even spend the night? I'm gonna be doing a makeup look inspired by the Ghost of Christmas Past and the Ghost of Christmas Future. So picture this, you're Googling hotels that you wanna stay at in Jefferson, Texas, planning a trip with friends or whoever. And you come across this hotel that has really quirky rooms, such as a room filled with dolls, a room with an underground speakeasy, a room that contains objects that looks like it's straight out of Five Nights at Freddy's, and so much more. And you think to yourself, wow, this looks cozy and comforting. So you go on your trip and you arrive at the hotel, but almost right off the bat, weird things start to occur. As you're looking at some of the objects around the hotel, your earring flies off your ear. As you back away to go back to your room, you see a shadow figure cross in the hallway. You then witness not only objects flying, but being catapulted through the air. And when you try to get away from all of it and go to your room for a night of peace, a mirror writes a message to you telling you to get out now. Well, this is just an average night at the historic Jefferson Hotel in Jefferson, Texas. And this is only a small fraction of the things that occur here. So how on earth did one place become filled with so much poltergeist activity? Well, the reason behind this haunting is absolutely shocking.
Normal looking photos that have a disturbing backstory. Part 27. This photo shows an elderly couple doing the hokey pokey with a man named Dennis Rader, also known as the BTK Killer. He installed alarms for a living, and ironically, many clients booked his services to prevent him from entering their homes. This photo shows Luchadora Juana Barraza. She was sold to a man for 3 beers by her mother until her stepdad found her at age 17. Over the years that followed, she would strangle and rob over 45 old women that reminded her of her abusive mom. The man in the background is Christopher Wilde, aka the Beauty Queen Killer. This picture was taken on June 15th, 1984, and Chris is scouting future victims at a beauty pageant. This photo shows John Edward Robinson holding a baby girl named Tiffany. Just 1 day before this photo was taken, he murdered the baby's mother and gave Tiffany to his brother, saying that she was adopted. His brother, along with Tiffany, didn't find out the truth for 15 years.